Although the conservation of rock paintings is still in its infancy, work has already begun to ensure that it takes place as one of the cultural cornerstones and unifying factors in present-day South African society. Rock painting represents a priceless heritage that is fast disappearing through wanton vandalism, natural weathering, and rock exfoliation. The process of conserving something begins with an awareness of it, followed by education. Only when we are educated about the value of something can we begin to understand the need to conserve and manage it responsibly. If something is made meaningful, people will look after it. High up on the plateau in the Stormberg Mountains of the Eastern Cape are some of South Africa's most valuable cultural treasures, rock paintings created by Bushmen thousands of years ago. Artist Stephen Townley Bassett is continuing the work of his late uncle, Ginger Townley Johnson, by meticulously recording the art for posterity and for dissemination to a wider public. Stephen's knowledge culminates in faithful yet astonishingly beautiful works of art recreated on canvas.
This particular site is special to me and really was the birthplace of my book because of paintings like this. Although photography is the most objective way of recording rock paintings, it's not always the most revealing because of surface deposits of dust and soot and foreign matter. So only with on-site study and the recording process can one pick up detail that is in a figure like this here.
Daily trips to these ancient sites to photograph and trace the images, as well as to gather materials from the surrounding areas, imbues Stephen with an ever-deepening comprehension of the rock paintings and ensures his works are not only faithful, but also incredibly detailed recordings of the originals, even down to the surface textures.
I think one of the motivators for me, because relatively little is in the written record about the technology of painting. No complete San artist's toolkit has ever been uncovered in a dig, and to my knowledge no San artist was ever interviewed while painting by early travellers. So we have snippets of oral history, but for me it was going back into the field and saying, let me recreate and let me see what's in the field that I could use if I were a Stone Age painter. How would I make my tools? Let me go into the technology of painting, but experientially. Over the last 10 to 15 years, what's made the process of recording San art so fascinating and very, very special is I decided then that I would go into the field to look for the materials that I believe they would have used to paint the images. What I've also found is that if I want to make a really fine brush, and I believe the San artist very likely would have realized the same thing, if you want to draw out a fine line, you'd need very fine hairs, say from the tail hairs of a spring hare. If you wanted something coarser, then the tail hairs of a springbok or a blesbok. The back hairs from ground squirrel also make good brushes. A good artist would have very likely made his brushes and taken pride in those implements. Generally all over South Africa I've found there's a spread of ochre. One just has to know where to look in particular ridges. One of the things that I've found over the years is by trial and error to make different implements. Intricate shaded polychrome paintings of eland, for example, where you've got shading across the body of an animal, that would very likely have been done with a brush that had been made from the hair of animals. The making of the paint has been an important part of the process, and that is going out collecting the ochre. whether it's yellow or red, and then mixing it with the critical carrying agents. And I found that when mixing fat with ochre to make a base, when it's cold it will congeal and solidify, but something like gall added to that at a later date will then liquefy that again into a painting medium.
An accomplished artist in his own right, Stephen's studio is located in the remote Stormberg of the Eastern Cape. Here he immerses himself in his work, and it is now that an opportunity has presented itself for him to use his knowledge, skills and talent in a unique and historic way. Stephen Townley Bassett has been invited to interpret the dreams and visions of Kerrick, a bushman believed to be 96 years old, who will revisit his birth cave in Lesotho in the spring of this year. Stephen has spent more than a decade recording bushman paintings. His methods reveal a deep understanding of the craft, honed through skills as a painter with a sensitivity for pigments, binders and brushes. Employing 21st century technology, digital images magnify minute details of ancient brushstrokes. But recording is also about interpretation.
Although I've had to experiment with these paint mixtures on rock to see what would work and what wouldn't and what would adhere, I'm really looking forward to the Kerrick project because that's a highlight of what I've been doing over the last 10 years. For me, it's a wonderful moment to be able to first-hand record the dreams and visions of an old man in a manner that would have been done regularly hundreds and thousands of years ago.